Let's do it. Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Thursday, May 27th. I'm your host for today's program, once again, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at indiancountrynews.com. Here are the news stories for this day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A Cherry Creek man who pled guilty in the beating death on the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation in North Dakota has been sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison. Bliza Schuyler Oakey, also known as Schuyler Oakey, pled guilty earlier to voluntary manslaughter. The 20-year-old was accused of killing 42-year-old Orville Morrow Bone last October by hitting him on the head with a metal pipe. A federal judge has sentenced the 22nd defendant in an investigation into crack cocaine dealing on the St. Croix Chippewa tribal lands in Wisconsin. 31-year-old Derek Rapley of Detroit, Michigan, pled guilty in March to one count of conspiracy to distribute narcotics. U.S. District Judge Barbara Crabb, during May 24th, sentenced him to 13 years in prison and 6 years on supervised release. Two more defendants are scheduled to be sentenced in July for a total of 24 arrested individuals. Inmates from the condemned Fort Hall Jail have been transferred to a new justice center after the Bureau of Indian Affairs loosens its requirements for jailer training. Chief of Corrections Paul Guzandi says 42 inmates were transferred to the new facility last Friday. Two escapes from the old jail within a one-month period highlighted the need to move inmates. At the time, tribal officials said the BIA would not allow the jail to be opened until guards had completed a training course. The Idaho State Journal reports the BIA is allowing the facility to be operated with a ratio of one certified officer to one non-certified staff member at this time. North Carolina's Lumbee Indian Council wants a consultant to secure the tribe's full federal recognition, despite a dispute over the role gambling should or should not play in their future. The Fayetteville Observer reported last Friday that the Lumbee Tribal Council has finalized a contract with a Las Vegas gaming consultant. Opponents failed to get the council to reconsider the agreement. The contract gives Lewin International the right to lobby for federal recognition. It also guarantees the firm a stake in future Lumbee economic ventures, including casinos, if that should occur. Jeremiah Sweat argued the deal was damaging the 55,000-member tribe's 54-year-old struggle for full federal recognition. The great-nephew of the tribal chairman lobbies in Washington, D.C. on behalf of the tribe seeking recognition. The Alutiiq Museum celebrated 15 years of bringing Native heritage, culture, and art to the people of Kodiak, Alaska. The list of events at the May 15th celebration including hat making, mask making, dancing, and the grand opening of the Wamwick Play Area for children. The museum was originally founded by a $1.5 million grant the Kodiak Area Native American Association received from the Exxon Valdez Oil Spill Trustee Council. The grant was used along with a partnership with natives of Kodiak to build the museum. KANA at the time already had a collection of Alutiiq people and items that had been brought in from regional people, but back then the artifacts didn't have a place to go. 15 years ago, that goal of having a place for the Alutiiq people has been met, but the museum continues to push forward with local, state, and international collaborations, as well as gaining national accreditation. Now the museum is on the threshold of gaining that accreditation, one of its biggest goals. If the museum reaches that goal, which still has about a year to go, it would be the only 7th museum to be accredited in the state of Alaska and only the 2nd tribal museum in the United States to reach that goal. Wisconsin's Department of Transportation Secretary has issued a formal apology to the Bad River Band of Lake Superior Chippewa for a highway project that disturbed their ancestors' graves some 50 years ago. The decades-old apology came recently from Secretary Frank Boozlachky at the Bad River Powwow Grounds in Odena, Wisconsin. Boozlachky also said the Transportation Department has been working with the tribal historic preservation officials for nearly 5 years to establish a better policy that protects cultural heritage. He hopes to institute the transportation policy by the end of this year. In 1960, Highway 2 remodeling project inadvertently disturbed Native American graves at a roadside cemetery near the Bad River Bridge. Tribal officials say members attempted to stop the construction at the time, but were not successful. And that will be the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you all for coming by and joining with us today. Come back again soon. Be well.